And welcome back to the Let Me Take You Higher podcast, where no topic is off limits. And today, we're diving headfirst into a love story that might require an Excel spreadsheet to track. That's right, we're talking about polyamory, a practice that's pushing the boundaries of modern relationships. It's no longer just a concept or whispered in the dark. It's about a niche communities that are out there, and they're called polyamorists. And it's becoming part of the mainstream. Conversations about love and connection. Well, joining me today, as always, is the ever-candid Gi.Gi Luigi, who's got his own tales of polyamorous pitfalls. And our special guest is Mike Mak, a man who's exploring his lifestyle with an open heart, a sharp mind, and probably a lot of calendar reminders. This isn't just pillow talk, guys. We're bringing the numbers, the insights, and maybe a few laughs along the way. So sit back and relax. And for you fans out here, as you might remember, we did a show about Gi.Gi Luigi's heartbreak when he went through a polyamorous relationship that went sour. And he didn't even want to do it. Anyway, welcome to Let Me Take You Higher. I'm going to take you higher.
Mike Mak. Top love, polyamory style, no change, just truth.
Stop, snuggle into constellation. Love's got lanes, no need for frustration. One heart, two hearts, three on the line. Sharing this life and we're doing just fine. Take the mic and drop the truth bomb. It ain't about cheating, it's about being real. Communication's a deal, not a game to conceal. I got love for them all, and they've got love for me. It's a balancing act, but it's how we stay free. It's not perfect, sometimes it stings, but love ain't a cage, it's a set of wings. Love without limits, hearts in flight, breaking the rules, redefining what's right. It's messy, it's bold, it's wild, it's true. In this polyamory world, there's a space for you. Alright, let's talk love. Polyamory style, no change, just choices. Just choices, it's choices. One heart, two voices, not a circle, it's a constellation. Love's got lanes, no need for frustration. One heart, two hearts, three on the line. Sharing this life and we're doing just fine. Call out, take the mic and drop that truth bomb. Mike Mak, take the mic and drop that truth bomb. It ain't about cheating, it's about being real. Communication's the deal, not a game to conceal. I got love for them all, and they've got love for me. It's a balancing act, but it's how we stay free. It's not perfect, sometimes it stings, but love ain't a cage, it's a set of wings. Love without limits, hearts in flight, breaking the rules, redefining what's right. It's messy, it's bold, it's wild, it's true. In this polyamory world, there's a space for you. We're not breaking hearts, we're building bridges. New love rising, tearing down limits. No chains, no boxes, just open doors. Polyamory's a journey, we're always exploring more. Love's a spectrum, and everyone's got a choice. You don't have to understand it, but you can't deny it's got a voice. So whether you're mono or poly, just make sure your heart's in the right place. Peace out.
Welcome to the Let Me Take You Higher podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Villain. And as we've been talking about, a little, it's not as seedy as we might think it is. Gi.Gi, are you there?
Oh, I'm right here.
Gi.Gi, I'm now. If the audience remembers, we did a little show called Gi.Gi's Heartbreak, and it was very sad. And you went through some of the details of what you went through, in the same sense which our special guest went through. His name is Mike Mak, by the way, guys. Gi.Gi, can you give us a little recap of Gi.Gi's Heartbreak? And I don't want to bring up any old ghosts, but I feel it's necessary.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, so she was a little bit more promiscuous than I am. I mean, I'm into like having fun and whatnot, but so where I was having the issue when she converted us to, polyamory, is that, I have a hard time with the aspect of being in another relationship.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, if I was going to entertain another, like during my free time, this is a better way to explain it. During my free
Okay.
time, because I work, I have my own personal shit. I want to focus on myself to some degree. And on the
Yeah.
time that I can spend with other people, I want to
Mhm.
spend it with my person. So
Yeah, your
to
person.
compromise that, I always felt like when I was with someone else that I was just doing it just to basically because I had to as an obligation, not out of like desire and want. So I ended up
Right.
finding myself being quite miserable, and that's when all the problems really started. And that's when I was like, "This
Interesting.
isn't for me." And she
Okay.
was like, "Well, screw you." So,
So you guys weren't on the same page. She towed you into polyamory.
oh yeah, definitely. 'Cause
Okay.
again, I love her. Well, I loved her, I should say. And so I was willing to like go down the road, see how things went. Definitely wanted to like try, and I broke a lot of my own boundaries trying to make her happy. And then next thing you know, like it was, every inch I gave her, she went for another mile. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, and you guys were together for how long now? I don't
7
remember.
years.
7 years. 7
Yeah,
years. Okay.
we went
So
about
picture
five.
this. Hmm?
Oh, keep going.
Well, picture this. In a world where 50% of marriages end in divorce and dating apps create infinite options, is it any wonder that more people are questioning the one size fits all model of monogamy? Polyamory is emerging as a response to these shifting dynamics, offering a new way to define love and partnership. But is it a progressive solution or a messy overcorrection? So let's break it down here. Our special guest, Mr. Mike Mak, is going to entertain us with a little twine. Mike, if you would let the audience know what the wins about polyamory are, like what makes you want to do this?
Um, I mean, a lot of it is I think a lot of it is sexual.
Okay.
And there's like polyamory is like a particular branch of non-monogamy. So with polyamory, it is more about relationships and
Okay.
what people like getting your cup filled in various ways.
Okay.
If you talk more about general like ethical non-monogamy, then there's it ranges from like swinging to different like parallel dating and where the your paramours don't really know about each other, like they don't really ask, you just like it's all separate. And
Now you're referring to them as paramours. What is a paramour?
so like you're the people that you're so your partners basically, so like to
Okay.
each other they would be metamours.
In the polycule, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
So there's all these different configurations, but that just like makes it like that's more confusing. But what the benefits is you get your cup filled from different partners. So like if one
Mhm.
partner isn't able to provide you with something, or you can get that fulfillment from another partner,
Okay,
whether
so
sexually or emotionally or otherwise.
now why don't I mean, and I'm gonna play the devil's advocate on this, Gigi. You know I do it. Why don't you just cheat? Just do a sneaky link after
Uh,
12 at the Walmart behind the alleyway.
you can, but some people can't really sleep at night with that. And also cheating just generally, like, I don't know, do people cheat to go like
Well, it's a
to have
sexual adventure.
emotional it's hard to have emotional fulfillment when you're cheating on a person.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
So
you don't
yeah,
mind me,
it can be
I was gonna say if I can chime in, cheating is like is a is honestly like one of like the worst things in my opinion you can do to somebody outside of like physically harming them.
Okay.
The you go to cheating because you're not happy in the relationship and you're like kind of like desperate and you don't even know necessarily what you're after. While
Okay.
polyamory is more like set agreements between people. Now you can still cheat in a polyamory relationship. That doesn't mean so it is a completely different thing.
It's a different
Cheating is
form of cheating.
no, I wouldn't say
no.
because like people are in agreement. Again, you can still cheat in a polyamorous relationship. The
Mhm.
people that my ex was trying to involve us with was a married couple, and the husband was cheating on the wife, even though they were in a polyamorous relationship. that he was cheating on her all the time, and it was like breaking her heart. And I would see her crying about how he would go and just hook up with someone random without discussing it with her, which is a part of their agreement. That's why it's such a spectrum. It's not just based on.
Well, I mean, guys, who's refereeing this? Who's calling the flag on the field?
Well,
you get what I'm saying? Like, is it just
you have agreements. You have agreements with your partner, and if you go outside of those agreements, that's cheating. And yeah, I mean, and like it you don't have you don't have to be worried about hurting the person that you're like. If you're not happy in a relationship,
yeah,
just get the fuck out
right?
and be with somebody that you are happy with. Like, cheating is just, I don't know, it just delaying the inevitable, and like you're
Right.
not going to be, so it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So, Mike, give us a little background as to how you got into this, because didn't you weren't you married?
I was.
Okay.
I'm currently in the process of a divorce.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Um, it's started a while ago. I've had several friends that are non-monogamous,
Okay.
including my brother and his partner, and
Yeah.
going to different kinky events and hearing stories of play parties where it's not like anything crazy. It's just very like sex positive, body positive, like
Okay.
queer positive, and
Okay.
I tried to talk my wife into going to these events, and she wasn't like, she's like, I don't belong there. Like, I don't want to go. I don't belong. And for whatever reason, she was insecure about it and she didn't want to
Okay.
go. And I was like, okay. And I would bring it up every now and then, and it was always the same answer. And I also wanted to explore more like queer dynamics and
Okay. Now you say queer dynamics for the audience. What does that actually mean? What does that entail?
um, so I wanted to explore my sexuality
Okay.
and outside of just straight dynamic.
Okay.
And she I think that was terrifying for her. And at one point I informed her that I you know I have these feelings and I don't know what
Yeah.
that means. And she was like, okay, cool. But when I told her I actually wanted to do something about it, that like terrified her. And
Okay, so now run of the mill feelings for your best friend, another dude, whatever the case may be. Those are just feelings. Are you saying that there were more than just feelings for this? And what was the situation that surrounded it?
I mean, I wanted to explore things physically with people that were not female.
Okay, there's only two of us. I guess you could go gender fluid. There are
Yeah,
bathrooms designed for everybody, I'm guessing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
Gigi, in your well, you were rope doped into polyamory. Were
I was kind
there
of like on the other
did
side.
your
So like, yeah.
yeah? What was your side like when you did this?
So again, it started. So me and my ex, we met. She was already you know starting off as an amateur model at this point. She was doing
Mhm.
cosplay, things like that. She was always telling me like, and she's very free with her body. And there was an adjustment there.
Okay.
But like after like a while of me adjusting, I was okay with her having an OnlyFans. I was okay with other people seeing her naked. I didn't really care because the way I rationalized it was, I loved her more than I cared about other people seeing her naked. So I just
Right.
stopped caring about that.
Okay.
And then OnlyFans escalated. And again, like it caused issues with each escalation. But with this kind of stuff, I was like able to rationalize it and get over it. It didn't start become a problem until she was like, we're going to start having relationships. And now this is where I messed up because we were involving ourselves with, this one, girl. And to me, I was like, we had an agreement, me and my ex, no
Mhm.
outside deals. If we're hooking up with somebody, it's going to be together type of thing,
Okay.
which was fun. It was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. I'd have less of an issue with my partner hooking up with somebody as I do with them being in a committed relationship. Because at that point,
Is
to me personally, I
mhm.
can't rationalize like as I was telling you, like I started trying to like go on dates with other people that I just didn't want to be there. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And the
Right.
sex didn't really make up for it. So
So in this instance, you were pretty much Mike's ex in the sense that you didn't want to be dragged into this at all. This was like a this was like a full stop for you, right? Something
it was
similar
a
to that?
full stop at the relationship. That's
Okay.
when I couldn't bend or break anymore. I couldn't rationalize it. Couldn't make it kinky anymore because it was too deep. I lost what connection I had in I lost what foundation I felt like we had a relationship for and built
Right.
on
Yeah.
that like kind of defined us as like a
As a
relationship.
couple.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just felt like, what are like if there's no boundaries that that we set for other people at that
Mhm.
point, then it's just because there was another thing that kind of like put everything in perspective is when she said, or when someone I heard talking about polyamory, she was like, I look at all my partners the same, including her husband and the father of her child. And
Oh,
to me,
wow.
I'm like, that's just that's just a little. I understand where she was coming from, but to me, that's just like that's where I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship where everything like you know what I mean. Like I'm trying
Yeah,
to
no,
like
I get
me
you.
personally, I would want to build something that not anybody just had access to. That's just how I view it and looked at it. That's all.
Mhm. So what I'm gathering as a person who's never been in a polyamorous relationship, of course, is that Mike is looking for more sexually, probably, and you, and then the person who tried to drag you in, do you think they were looking for more sexually, probably?
Me,
Well,
so
yeah.
as Gi.Gi Luigi here,
Right.
I'm a kinky motherfucker. I can get
Do
down.
you think?
I do my thing. It's fun. I can get into that. But again, it was the relationship where I had to draw the line.
Gigi, let me ask you a question. So when it comes to kink, if you're to get into like some really deep kinks, you have to develop a really big, like high level of trust and connection with a person.
Yes, correct.
If you're looking for any kind of power exchange or more edge play type stuff,
Mhm.
how do you so and this is what kind of made me look at polyamory as well is I know that if once I developed that kind of level of connection, it would be hard to avoid developing emotions. How do you deal with that in the kink sense? Or do you just kind of do more pickup play and less involved
So
kinks?
I'm gonna ask some questions just to clarify, just so I make sure I'm answering right. Are you asking like my connection with my ex or my potential partner, or like someone I'm bringing into the relationship?
Your
Like,
connection with your kink partners.
okay, so that was the thing. So I guess where I side is if I'm going to like set boundaries for a relationship, if I was ever going to open it up or become any type of polyamory again, I'll be comfortable with more of an open relationship with communication. So like I would consider myself pretty dominant. So to be dominant, as you said, power exchange, there just be a lot of trust, a lot of communication. So like I describe my boundaries again when it comes to the relationship aspect. We're like, oh, now my partner is going to be dedicating time, effort into spending time that's like in a different intimate way with somebody else. That's where like it's just like in the kink sense, in the sexual sense, it's like it's fun. It's something that again, if we're doing it together, it's great. But if I start to lose the boundaries of our own relationship, that then it's like to me, I just again like I lose the vibe of the relationship. If that makes sense.
Well, I think it's
Uh,
more you,
I
GG
hope
being
I
more.
hope hold on. I hope I answered that correctly because it's kind of I feel like there's a lot of aspects to that question.
Well,
Um, I guess my question is there so if in a kink relationship you like how do you avoid do you set like a boundary for yourself like if you start to feel you're getting too involved
With somebody
emotionally,
else?
you just pull the cord.
With somebody else?
Yes.
So that's just it. Like to me, like I've always kind of viewed sex as like just something to do. Like I'm not like it's just again like I always look at it as like tag. Like you know, you can have sex with your friends as long as there's communication, you're being safe. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion of it.
Yeah.
You would rather want to do that with someone you know in terms of like hooking up. But in terms of like having like an emotional connection, and everything, again, I'm very upfront before anything happens. Like this is where I'm at. Like, you know, when me and Katie first started, you know, it was like an OnlyFans thing. We would go to like events with like would meet other models, and the other models might think I'm attractive, so they'll like hit me up on Instagram. And my thing is like, oh yeah, if you want to work with Katie, do OnlyFans shit, that'd be cool. But then like the conversation would start gearing to like, hey, like basically they want to have sex with me. So
Right.
that's when I communicate with, you know, my ex, like, hey, like, you know, this is what this person's saying. How do you feel about it? And for this specific instance that I'm referencing, she was like, you know, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But the moment she was like, I'm uncomfortable with the way she's talking to you, I literally just cut it off and didn't bother me one bit at all. Because at the end of the day, my priority would be my primary partner, not
Right.
anybody else. And that's my viewpoint. I view that person above everybody else at all times. So that's kind of how I avoid anybody else is kind of like, hey, me and my partner are looking to have fun. And if you want to join us, then let's have fun. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I think
I guess I have a more
Mike, from
innocent
your
look at it.
perspective, are you more you're more submissive than I think than Gi.Gi is. Gigi's more of a dominant alpha kind of guy. You're more of a submissive kind of dude, from what I remember.
I'm more of a switch. So I like both worlds.
Do tell. What are
I'm
these
very
worlds?
I'm very greedy. I just depending on the other person,
Hmm.
I can be either dominant or submissive.
Okay, so you're reverse.
Yes.
I'm putting it into queer
So
terms because that's all I know.
right, yes, exactly. Like with my current partner, we have a very dynamic switch thing
So wait.
where
So are you talking pegging? What are we talking about? Switch. She's a woman, right?
yes,
You can't switch a
that
woman.
so
You can.
it's more has to do with power exchange.
Okay.
And so that in so you have topping and bottoming, and then you
Right.
have dominance and submission. So you can actually continue, like you can actually be a top but be a submissive. So top is the person that does the doing. So
Right.
you can be a top and still be the submissive. So it has to do, like in kink, switching has to do more with power exchange, but it can be any of that. It can
Now,
be
for the
physical. It
audience,
can be,
I just want to just clarify these things because they may not know. So when you're saying switching, you are a top just by birth, right? You have a penis.
yeah.
But when you go in through a submissive behavior, from what I know as a queer man, the submissive is a bottom.
Well, so this it it can include sex, but it doesn't have to be. Like it can be completely non-sexual. Like a scene
Okay.
can be completely non-sexual. You know, it
Okay.
could just be pain, or it could be service, or it could be
Edging.
um
I feel like
edging. I mean, you could
that's the
just
most common one.
like yeah, I
I can see that.
mean, yeah, like with sex there could be like what do you call it? Like orgasm denial and caging. What do you call it?
Oh, you
uh
mean like putting your penis in a cage?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
there's all sorts of things you can do in a BDSM sense, but
Okay.
Sky's the limit.
um I mean, she could put me in the corner and have me stand, for an hour, just with a I don't know, with a gag in, or it's like your imagination. Yeah, your imagination is the limit.
Okay. So, but in
But
this world, the main thing that brought you into this world was just experiencing your own sexuality, which you stated, right? For the most part.
yes, including BDSM, and
Okay.
actually BDSM was a very large impetus.
Okay.
I was introduced to it at an event,
Oh,
and it was a very positive experience. And that's when I said, yeah, I'm like, I want to know more about this, and I just kind of jumped in both feet and
okay.
wanted
So it
to continue learning more about it. But my partner was not on board with it. She didn't care if I went to events, and like, so long as it was more like pain based. But
okay,
things start to get more complicated the more you play, and
right.
so that's when I had to like tell her like this isn't gonna like
Now
there's
this is now,
no.
now you're talking about your marriage that you were currently in divorce of, right?
Correct, yeah.
How long were you guys together?
uh like 14 years on with like a 9 month break or so, but we're
Whoa.
married for about 3 years.
So 14 years altogether.
Yeah.
And she never knew any of this stuff about you, like, the whole time? She didn't
Oh,
think that.
she knew, but I just didn't explore it. And
Mhm.
like a lot of the, you know, like sadomasochism, like I've kind of forgotten
Oh,
about it.
okay.
I've forgotten that how much I enjoyed it and how much I was into it.
Now which parts of
Uh,
sa now sadomasochism, that's a huge that's huge. What parts of sadomasochism make you feel alive?
Both of them. Like I
Okay,
said, I'm a switch, so I enjoy the experiencing pain. So like the masochist part
okay.
allows me to it shuts off my brain, and it makes the world quiet. It
Oh,
allows me to get out of my brain and into my body and experience my body, and like just it shuts up my brain. Like I can experience fucking silence.
okay. And this so now
And
with this situation, do you suffer from any kind of, like, what, ADHD? What's the other ones? ADHD? Anything?
ADHD, yeah.
Okay.
And then on the sadist side, it allows me to like ditch and throw off all the like societal conventions
Mm,
and like tap into like the primal being and just feel this animalistic energy.
hmm,
It's just you once again it's a silence but in a different way.
Right. Because 'Cause you're focused on something completely different.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, I see you getting a little lively there. But guys, let me just tell you this. When we talk about this, one of the main reasons this is such a prolific thing right now is the declining monogamy in everyday life. According to a 2021 study by the Kinsey Institute, 1 in 5 Americans has engaged in consensual non-monogamy at some point in their lives. This trend reflects changing attitudes towards traditional relationships, especially amongst millennials and Gen Zs, who prioritize authenticity and autonomy over tradition. So is it you trying to escape the world around you and then have your own little clique of community? Is that why you do it for the most part? Aside from the sexual stuff, we know sexual. We're all sexual
I mean,
people.
I've never been part of the in group,
Mhm.
and I've always had to, or I guess didn't have to, but I always found myself masking just to avoid dealing with questions or whatnot. And
Mhm.
it's I didn't realize I was doing it, and then the more work I've been doing, like to unfuck my psychology,
Right.
the more I started realize that how expensive it is to like how emotionally and energetically draining it is to continue masking. So yeah, that you're right. Authenticity has been a big thing for me, and like
Mhm.
discovering what I want and actually doing it and following like the steps necessary to get there. And along with that came vulnerability and like being open and honest about
Who you are.
everything. Yeah, everything. And like it I ended up realizing that like back in the day going to raves and doing
Uh-huh.
ecstasy wasn't me really getting high on ecstasy, it was me getting high on the vulnerability that ecstasy allowed to happen.
Right.
and
Yeah, I
it's just
remember some of your rave
extremely,
dates when you come back to work. Yeah.
extremely liberating. But
Right.
I think a lot of people are stepping into that. Like the more like I see so much like self-help, mental like stu- stuff on Instagram and different platforms,
Yeah.
and a lot more people are realizing like, hey, they deserve to be happy and they deserve to do whatever it is they got to do, and looking inside to find that happiness and
And you're
ditching
saying,
the traditions. And
yeah. And you're saying that. I mean, how old are you, Mike Mac?
42.
42, the big 42. Now, you're saying that since February of this year, something clicked and it kind of drew you into this polyamorous relationship that you're currently in now. Can you tell us, us and the viewers, of course, or the audience, a little bit about this relationship you're in right now?
Well, it wasn't just like a click. It was
Okay.
definitely a
A delayed
long
switch.
process.
Yeah.
It's probably a couple years worth of work and figuring shit out, and
Hmm.
people like catalyst individuals. And
Hmm.
yeah, current relationship,
Yeah. Your current polyamory. What's that relationship? Yeah.
well, we are actually mostly monogamous currently. Like
Okay.
my partner, she has a girlfriend that is long distance, and so she sees her seldomly.
Okay.
And she has another male partner that
Hmm.
they're more. It's kind of like a queer platonic relationship at this point,
Where?
uh, where they're more. They're like it's like an in between friends, somebody you love more than you love a friend, I guess, more romantic than a friendship, but
Okay.
lacking physical connection.
Okay. And are they still physically
I
connecting, or they're
said again,
are they still physically connecting?
they're not having any sexual relations,
Okay.
but I mean, they see each other, I don't know, once a month or so.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and I just recently gone on a couple of dates with a person.
Okay.
So she has, my partner has dated multiple people concurrently.
Oh, okay.
Um, she's been
I mean,
she's
do
dated.
you get to say yay or nay to these people, or is it like my
This
way
was
or the highway?
this was before me.
Okay.
So you don't, theoretically you don't get to
Vote.
say who your partner can or cannot date. You can say I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
Um, like I cannot date you if you are dating this person, but you can't really stop somebody from dating them. But
Okay.
it hasn't come to that, and we talk about everything. Like so far it's just been like, we do we want to engage with this person sexually? Do you want to, like, we meet somebody at a party and like, do you want to, like, how do we both feel about this person?
Okay.
Uh,
So
and
can you say to her, hey, no back entry stuff. If you're gonna go messing with other dudes, the back end that's mine. They get the rest of it, but I get the back end. Can you say stuff like that and it stick?
I I I think I can, like, I would, if I wanted to, I
Mhm.
feel comfortable that I could bring that up to her,
Okay.
and we would discuss it. But I don't know if I would bring that up. Like, I don't think that's my thing.
I would bring it up. That's probably why.
Uh,
Okay. Now, in the reverse, can she say the same thing to you? Like if you're going to go out and hang out with the boys or whatever that is, and she can say, "Hey, no backside hijinks or no crazy
she
stuff."
would definitely not say that.
No,
She would be ecstatic if the opposite happened.
really.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's been my biggest wingman, like biggest and best wingman.
Oh, okay. Well, shit. Good for that. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so I guess my question is to you, and Gigi, you can chime in on this, but what would you tell people who are starting to go into polyamory, or they don't know the whole ins and outs? Is there like a clique? Is there a meeting that that people go to on Wednesdays? I mean, what would you tell people who are just starting in this kind of lifestyle? How would they do it? Like, how do they just like they say, "Oh, I was listening to that podcast, and Mike Mack told me that I could like have sex with everybody. We could be a big family, kind of." Or how would they start
Well,
this?
personally, again, everybody's different. It's a spectrum. So,
Mhm.
for example, when you were asking, like, can you do this? Can you do that? It depends on the relationship. If it's more open than it is, polyamory, then you can absolutely. It just comes down to making requests. I feel like at that point,
Mhm.
communication. Hey, I'm comfortable with you doing this, and whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just it. It just comes down to communication. Don't follow your partner if you really don't want to do it. Like if you don't want to do it, then
Just
it's
don't do it.
probably yeah. If it's something that's so important to them, then
Mhm.
and I'm just saying like it's probably best for everybody that everybody just separate because otherwise it's just going to
Absolutely.
lead. Yeah, it's just going to lead to hurt feelings and a whole bunch of
Well,
other
yeah. I
negative
mean, we're
aspects.
human. We're bipedal humans. We're gonna get hurt feelings when you. It's like the penguins. When the penguins find their mate, they mate for life, and when that mate dies, they try to kill themselves. They throw themselves against rocks. But not today. Not with humans. We want more rocks, right? Is that what we're saying?
What more rock? I don't know about that. Um, I definitely found
Under the rock.
I found Reddit very informative.
Okay.
There's tons and tons of stuff on Reddit, and there are actually meetups like poly or whatever meetups that
Okay.
you can attend, and some of them are on a Wednesday.
So
Uh,
tomorrow on a Wednesday. We
yeah,
used to just call them
absolutely,
fuck sessions.
and obvious was that.
I said we used to just call them fuck sessions. We're just all going to get over. We're going to have a big old fucking
Well, no,
match.
they're literally like support groups
Oh,
where you discuss, problems that you may be having, and like it's just like an in-person Reddit meetup where you
hmm.
can,
The 12 steps
discuss
to
excessive and
polyamory. I love that.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, shit.
But obviously it depends on where you are, living in LA, there's quite a few of them here. If you're in like Tucson, I don't know, there's probably going to
You're
be
not
a
going to
lot
find any
less.
in Idaho.
Or
There's a lot of hoes.
Idaho, yeah, you might have to drive for a couple hours,
Go
to
past
find.
Utah. Keep going. No, I
Uh,
get you. I mean, and Gigi, I mean, what would you say about this? Because you were almost rope-a-doped and you ran. You escaped it. How did you escape?
I escaped swinging. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
Believe it.
Again, it's just communication. I felt like I was being manipulated towards the end.
Yeah.
Again, I was willing to bend and break and sacrifice a lot of my boundaries, but she
Mhm.
was never willing to respect my boundaries. And she also kind of gaslit me because, again, me expanding my boundaries, willing to explore certain things,
Mhm.
a lot of things were like thrown in my face, like, "Oh, you don't have a problem with being polygamous. You have a problem with me having sex with the guys." It's like, well, I even got over that. It was more again the connection. So, like, for example, like the whole romantic aspect of like again, like you wanting to go out on a date with somebody and like
Mhm.
spend the night and time and all that with them. To me, again, like if there's no boundaries that separate me from the other partners, then it's
Mhm.
like I feel like I'm not investing my time wisely. Like at the end of the day, the relationship I'm looking at, I'm trying to build something that's going to last the test of time.
Right.
So like I'm not trying to invest in something and then like 5 years from now, like I've been, now I don't see you as often because you found someone else that like you just happen to enjoy spending more time with because we didn't build some kind of foundation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
You
get
feel what
you.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I feel it.
yeah.
Now, I guess I have one last question as we conclude our polyamory episode. Now, guys, so you guys are from two separate sides of the polyamory spectrum. So, Mike, the first question I have for you, or last question rather. Now, I won't say that your divorce had anything to do with your polyamory ambitions, but do you miss your ex, who is not a polyamorous person? Would you ever go back?
I would not go back.
Okay.
I do miss some of the connection and like some of the stuff like we would get up to, and
Mm-hmm.
you're with a person for 10 years, like it's a like I miss
Well
my
done.
niece, stuff like that. But I it was time. It was time for both of us to uh get on a different journey.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well said. Now, Gi.Gi, of course, I have to ask you the exact same question, but just different.
Can you rephrase the question then? Sorry, I'm.
So, for you, do you miss your ex?
Oh, do I miss my ex? Okay, yeah.
And would
Sorry.
you go back if she would have say, "Hey, I was wrong. Let's try it your way"?
Okay, in that regard, maybe the only hesitation there again, I can't necessarily say I still love her because when I look back and I remember some of the treatment that was done, some of
Mhm.
the basically the blatant fuck yous, like when I was having trouble with my mental health during all this, one of the
Mhm.
quotes that ring in my head is "I'm tired of your self-loathing." Things like that. That kind of treatment is hard to look past that. I would tell her like these are my concerns with the relationship. I don't like this aspect of polyamory or whatever. She would be like, no, you don't have a problem with being polyamorous, because she would throw up again. I'm expanding my boundaries, so I'm testing things, and she would throw things up in my face like, oh well, you have a problem with it when you hooked up with so and so. And it's like,
Oh,
I understand, but I also after hooking up with so and so realized that I don't want to be doing that at
right.
all. You know what I mean?
No,
So
understandable.
I felt like I was being exploited and then kind of manipulated all at the same time. And people were because when you end up in a situation where you're, I guess in a sense, she was forming a polycule, now it's you're only out. So it's 3-on-1, you're
Mhm.
wrong, we're right. And I'd be like, well,
Mhm.
these are my concerns with the relationship. And she'd be like, no, that's not your actual problem. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
literally telling you what my problem is. So with
she's a
that
narcissist.
regard, very much so.
Yeah.
With and in that regard, I don't think I could actually forgive her, even if she was like, let's go ahead, focus on everything. Like our relationship when it was monogamous was really good. Let's just go back. So I don't think I could, because like of all the treatment, that's the terrible treatment that she did.
Mhm.
I just I can't find myself forgiving her and wanting to be with her.
I see. Interesting, guys. This has been a very interesting conversation of which we just called it like fucking a lot of people on a Wednesday or a Thursday. People are
Hmm.
calling it and defining it as something completely different. But love, as we've seen today, guys, is endlessly adaptable. Whether you're poly, mono, or somewhere in between, the real work is being honest with yourself and with others. So I just wanted to thank Mike Mak for coming on board and telling us his story, and Gi.Gi, you reliving your story. But in summation, polyamory isn't for everyone, but neither is monogamy. The question isn't what's right for society, it's what's right for you. Just remember, love isn't a competition, it's a collaboration. And sometimes that's the hardest lesson of all. I've been Mr. Villain for Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. My special guest is Mike Mak, and always my co-host, Gi.Gi Luigi. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we appreciate you. Hi, thanks for having a fireside chat. I'm Mr. Villain, and what we're going to do today is something that we've never done. We're going to go into a full topic exploration on the polyamory epidemic. It's not necessarily an epidemic, but a lot of people are doing it. And some of the cultural shifts you might see are declining monogamy. According to a 2021 study by the Kinsey Institute, 1 in 5 Americans has engaged in consensual non-monogamy at some point in their lives. This trend reflects changing attitudes towards traditional relationships, especially among millennials and Gen Z, who prioritize authenticity and autonomy over tradition. You might find the rise of individualism as a part of that. A Pew Research Center study found that 25% of Americans under 40 believe that traditional monogamy isn't the only viable model for a healthy relationship. This aligns with a broader cultural shift toward personal fulfillment and away from societal expectations. There are also economic factors that come into play. The cost of living. With rising housing costs and economic uncertainty, more people are seeking alternative relationships and the structuring of these relationships that provide emotional and financial support. A 2019 study by The Atlantic highlighted that polyamorous households often pull resources, creating a safety net. You have student debt. The average U.S. student loan debt exceeds $37,000, which has delayed marriage and home ownership for many. Polyamorous relationships can offer shared financial burdens, making this lifestyle appealing to younger generations. Technology and accessibility is also a key factor. Dating apps, platforms like Field, OkCupid, and Tinder have added filters for ethical non-monogamy, making it easier to connect with like-minded individuals. Field reported a 70% increase in users seeking polyamorous connections between 2020 and 2023. You have online communities like social media and forums like Reddit's Polyamory, which boasts over 700,000 members. And they have made it easier to learn more about and discuss polyamory in an open platform, reducing stigma and fostering a sense of community. The numbers behind polyamory, according to a 2022 study published in Frontiers in Psychology, 4 to 5% of Americans identify as polyamorous, equating to approximately 10 million people. A 2021 YouGov survey found that 33% of U.S. adults believe their ideal relationship could include more than one partner, a striking indicator of growing openness to polyamory. The same study revealed that polyamory is more common in younger demographics, with 43% of millennials expressing interest in non-monogamous relationships compared to just 20% of the baby boomers. The notable perspectives, Mike Mak's journey, which is one that he categorized very, very well. Mike describes his shift into polyamory as a response to years of feeling constrained by monogamy. For me, it's not about a rejection of one person, it's about embracing the possibility of more love, more connection, more honesty. He emphasizes the importance of clear communication and navigating challenges like jealousy. You had Gi.Gi Luigi's counterpoint. Gi.Gi chimes in, I tried polyamory once. Let's just say I ended up on the more gray hairs and also in a group chat I'm still afraid to open. While his humor keeps things light, he's quick to point out that poor boundaries and lack of communication can make polyamory a train wreck. Historical spotlight. The idea of loving more than one person isn't new. Ancient civilizations like the Greeks and Romans were known for open relationships. In the 20th century, movements like free love in the 1960s brought polyamory into mainstream consciousness, laying the groundwork for today's resurgence. Now, as we went through our polyamory segment, there's pros to this. Expanded support systems. Polyamory offers the chance to build a love network of emotional and practical support. Personal growth. Managing multiple relationships often requires deep introspection and emotional intelligence. Reduce pressure. No one person has to meet all your needs, reducing strain on individual relationships. But of course, in anything, there are cons, and cons are consequences to these things. Emotional overload. Navigating multiple relationships can be exhausting and fraught with conflict. Social stigma. Polyamory is still misunderstood, leading to judgment or ostracization. Legal and financial complexity. Polyamorous families aren't recognized under most legal systems, complicating matters like inheritance and parental rights. But for me, I like to play the devil's advocate a little bit too. Could polyamory be the next evolution of relationships? Or are humans wired for jealousy and competition? Some critics argue that polyamory, while progressive in theory, often amplifies those problems, and it creates more problems than it seeks to resolve. And we'll take a deep dive into this. Mike Mak's reality check. Mike shares a day in his life juggling multiple relationships. It's not all wine and roses, he admits. Sometimes it's Google Calendar wars, and late night conversations about feelings. But when it works, it's worth it. future implications of polyamory. With increasing interests in non-monogamous relationships, society may need to rethink its legal and cultural frameworks. Could we see new marriage laws or tax benefits for polyamorous families? Or will these relationships remain on the fringes of our everyday reality? I talk about the higher point in this too. Polyamory isn't just about having multiple partners, guys. It's about rethinking what love and commitment mean in a rapidly changing world. Whether you embrace it or you leave it as a side eye, polyamory forces us to question whether monogamy is truly the gold standard, or is it just the default that we've always been accustomed to? And as I wrap everything up in this episode with Mike Mak and Gi.Gi Luigi about polyamory, I let them know that love, as we've seen it today, is endlessly adaptable. Whether you're poly, mono, or somewhere in between, the real work is being honest with yourself and with others. Up next, Gi.Gi Luigi will share his unfiltered thoughts on why Mike Mak's polyamory might just require a user manual. The spoiler of all that is, love may be limitless, but his attention span surely isn't. And my final thought, as I wrapped everything up today, guys, polyamory isn't for everyone, but neither is monogamy. The question isn't what's right for society, it's what's right for you. Just remember, love is not a competition, it's a collaboration. And sometimes, well, that's the hardest lesson of all. Stay tuned. Do you feel like that helps you kind of stabilize this relationship and make it more long lasting? Because you guys were doing this since February, and it seems like now all of a sudden it's starting to slip.
Well, no, it's not. It's not slipping. So, like, she encountered some issues, and we talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
and we worked through. And turned out there's like she's dealing with some things that she didn't realize were kind of like hiding out
Mm-hmm.
from her marriage that she didn't have to face
Wait,
until now.
is she married now, or was she married
No,
before?
no, no, no. She's divorced. She was married. She's
Oh,
like 4 years divorced. So,
okay, okay, okay.
so yeah. So it's like, but we like you have to bring it up. You have to like keep the other person kind of aware
Mm-hmm.
and like, informed, and you have to sit with your emotions and
Right.
figure out what the fuck's going on and why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling the jealousy when like
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just human. I mean, we've been taught to be with one person. Anything more than one, it's too many. And that's where people come into the whole factor of people cheating, is because you're already with me. Why would you be seeing someone else? That's ingrained in us. A lot of things
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. But also like I really enjoy seeing her with other people like that.
Okay, so now
It,
that's
it,
now so it's a sexual thing.
some of it is sexual, yeah, but
Okay.
like some of it is like you know she can go and hang out with one of her partners
Oh,
and
so
like
she has multiple
deal.
partners.
Well, she has a girlfriend, and they kind of like she has a male partner, but they
Oh,
redefined their relationship recently, so it's non-sexual.
okay. Oh,
But I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It hasn't really been sexual for a while.
so she
Um,
tells this is so she tells you, right?
I believe her.
Okay, so
Uh,
Mike, we have Gi.Gi now. He's my co-host of this beautiful podcast we do. Um,
hey, Gigi.
I'm here.
you there, Gi.Gi?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Hi. Hey, you know what? Give me just a sec.
Yeah, take your time. So we were just doing some bonus pre-roll for the after credits, which we're doing, which we have done. So I'm just gonna let it roll from that point. We haven't really discussed anything crazily. We've just been catching up because I've known Mike for many a decade. Feels like it. So what we'll do is we will start right from. Let's see here. Okay, I'll start from the hot mic. when
yeah.
Mike Mak is back. The Mac attack. Let me see what we got. Anyway, how's your day going there, Gi.Gi? Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I stepped away for a second. What'd you say?
I said, how's your day going?
Oh, it was great. I was on my way home and I was about to set everything up, and I got a stupid ass phone call from a goddamn person.
Oh my god,
my reps are stupid as fuck.
What is wrong with these fucking people?
Yeah,
I really have to go to Co in a couple days to get that charcuterie ham thing they have for Christmas. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's here. Everything's really done, so this should go by pretty quick when we do like post-roll, pre-roll, all that stuff. So we're going to start off from the hot mic, and then I'll go from there.
Almost done.
Do your thing, buddy. Oh, I like that little Christmas tree. Christmas tree. All right. All right, Mike. There's that little bastard. All right. Everybody's ready to rock and roll? Okay. So we'll clip out from 5. So 5, 4, 3. And that's a wrap on this episode of Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. Big thanks to our special guests and a huge shout out to our incredible sponsors. You guys are literally the wind beneath our podcast wings. Remember, this show was dreamed up and brought to life by yours truly, Mr. Villain, and it's all made possible by BC Entertainment LLC, a proud subsidiary of Big Cheddar Music LLC. All rights are reserved by BC Entertainment, so don't even think about touching that dial without permission. Until next time, keep your minds elevated and your vibes higher. This is Mr. Villain signing off. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and stay forever gifted and lifted.
When life storms rage, skies grow dim, we gather the shards, piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold. When life storms rage and skies grow dim, we gather the shards piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold.